Imagine a world gripped by fear. A silent killer stalks the land. This was Europe in the 14th century. The Black Death, as it became known, emerged from the east. The plague likely originated in Central Asia. It travelled along trade routes carried by fleas on rats. These rodents thrived in the packed holds of merchant ships, unknowingly transporting their deadly cargo. The Black Death arrived in Europe in the 1340s, carried on ships from the Black Sea. It first reached the bustling port city of Messina in Sicily. From there it spread like wildfire. The plague quickly engulfed Europe, leaving a trail of death and despair in its wake. No one was safe from its grasp, from poor farmers to wealthy merchants. The Black Death was indiscriminate in its victims. The arrival of the plague marked the beginning of one of the darkest chapters in human history. It would forever alter the course of civilization, leaving an indelible mark on the world. The Black Death was terrifying. It manifested in different forms, each more horrific than the last. The most common form was bubonic plague. It caused painful, swollen lymph nodes called buboes. These buboes, often found in the groin or armpits, could swell to the size of an apple. Victims suffered from fever, chills and vomiting. The plague's touch was agonizing. Death often followed within days. Another form, pneumonic plague, attacked the lungs. It spread through the air, making it even more contagious. Pneumonic plague was swift and deadly. Victims coughed up blood, their lungs ravaged by the disease. Few survived its onslaught. Septicemic plague, the rarest form, infected the bloodstream. It caused internal bleeding and organ failure. Death could come within hours. The symptoms of the Black Death were a gruesome spectacle. The plague's victims endured unimaginable suffering. Their bodies, ravaged by disease, became a testament to the plague's terrifying power. The Black Death spread with astonishing speed. Trade routes, once bustling with life, became pathways for death. Fleas, the plague's unwitting accomplices, jumped from infected rats to humans. People lived in cramped quarters, ideal conditions for the plague to thrive. Ignorance about the disease's transmission fueled its spread. People believed it was caused by bad air or divine punishment. They continued to gather in churches and public spaces, unknowingly aiding the plague's advance. The Black Death swept across Europe in waves. Each wave claimed millions of lives. Cities were decimated. Villages were abandoned. The stench of death permeated the air. Mass graves were dug to accommodate the overwhelming number of bodies. The plague's impact was devastating. It is estimated that 1/3 to 1/2 of Europe's population perished. The Black Death's reign of terror lasted for years. It left an enduring scar on the continent. Crumbling societies, the plague's impact. The Black Death's impact extended far beyond its death toll. It shattered societies and upended the social order. The feudal system, already under strain, began to crumble. With so many dead, there was a shortage of labour. Peasants, once tied to the land, found themselves in demand. They could demand higher wages or move to cities seeking better opportunities. The power of the nobility weakened. The church, once a source of comfort, lost some of its authority. People questioned their faith as the plague ravaged their communities. The Black Death also had a profound impact on the economy. Trade declined as cities were ravaged by the plague. Businesses collapsed. The shortage of goods led to inflation. The world was in chaos. The Black Death had reshaped the social and economic landscape of Europe. The plague's legacy would be felt for centuries to come. A relentless enemy, the plague returns. The Black Death was not a one-time event. It returned to haunt Europe in waves for centuries. Each outbreak brought fresh terror and suffering. People lived in fear of the plague's return. They adopted new practices in an attempt to ward off the disease. Quarantine measures were implemented. Ships arriving from infected areas were isolated. Cities established plague hospitals to isolate the sick. Doctors wore beak-like masks filled with aromatic herbs, believing it would protect them from the plague. Despite these efforts, the plague continued to reappear. Outbreaks occurred throughout the 15th, 16th and 17th centuries. Each outbreak brought new waves of death and social disruption. The plague became a constant threat, a reminder of humanity's vulnerability to invisible enemies. Unmasking the killer, the science of the plague. For centuries, The cause of the Black Death remained a mystery. People blamed bad air, poisoned wells, or divine wrath. It wasn't until the late 19th century that the true culprit was unmasked. Scientists discovered that the plague was caused by a bacterium, Yersinia pestis. This bacterium lived in rodents, primarily rats, and was transmitted to humans through flea bites. The discovery revolutionized our understanding of the plague. It explained why the disease spread so rapidly and why it recurred in waves. With this knowledge, scientists could develop ways to prevent and treat the plague. Today, the plague is still present in some parts of the world. However, it is no longer the deadly scourge it once was. Antibiotics are effective in treating the plague. Public health measures, such as rodent control, have helped to limit its spread. The Black Death, once a terrifying mystery, is now a disease that can be understood and managed. Scars of the past. The plague's enduring legacy. The Black Death left an enduring legacy on the world. It reshaped Europe, influencing its history, economy and culture. The plague's impact is still felt today. The massive loss of life led to a labour shortage, empowering peasants and weakening the feudal system. This shift in power dynamics contributed to the decline of feudalism and the rise of new social structures. The plague also had a profound impact on art and literature. The Dance of Death, a common artistic motif, reflected the plague's gruesome toll. Literary works, such as Boccaccio's Decameron, explored themes of death, morality and the fragility of life. The Black Death also forced societies to confront their mortality and develop new ways to cope with death and disease. The plague led to advancements in public health, including quarantine measures and the development of hospitals. The Black Death's legacy is a complex tapestry of tragedy, resilience and innovation. It serves as a reminder of humanity's vulnerability to pandemics and the importance of public health.